Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are in the world. My name is Dar'ya Heyko, and I'm here to present my DIS 2021 conference paper with Dr. David R. Flatla. The identifying the factors that influence deaf and hard of hearing employees is set under hearing supervisors. Our research question for this paper was, what are the factors that influence DHH employees is set under the hearing supervisors? And with that, we had the purpose of getting a current snapshot of what DHH employees go through in today's workplaces to provide contextual knowledge necessary for proposing appropriate future and technical and design intervention. We didn't feel confident enough to propose any sort of intervention without any current data. And although we had quite a few literature review, there's something about having today's data in qualitative mode that could help it go further. In literature review, we've seen that the DHH employment struggle in all stages, whether it's getting hired at the DHH employee, job quality, promotions and salaries, and accommodation for DHH employees. We also had a separate section for communication and work cultures, as those two are very important in creating a healthy workplace environment. Disability confidence, a new term coming up in the recent research, is key to creating inclusive cultures for people with disability. That includes going from stage 1 to stage 4, where stage 1 is the fear of unknown and general lack of knowledge. And then as you go to the stages with exposure and education, you become more and more confident around people with disability. We used the two methodology in this paper. The first one was the survey, which everyone is familiar with. And in this paper, we use an online survey with set questions. We surveyed DHH employees and hearing supervisors with a particular target on DHH employees. They had to enter 18 fixed response and 13 open response questions, while hearing supervisors only had to answer 13 fixed response and 10 open response questions. We wanted to have a bit more deeper knowledge of what DHH employees' experiences have, but we also acknowledge that the supervisor can have the information for us from the other side and the other perspective. The second methodology is a fairly new one. The autoethnography is based on ethnography, and that method is when the researcher observed the participants in their natural environment. However, under the autoethnography method, the researcher adopts both the participant and researcher roles. And this is a very self-reflective research that involves a lot of diary and conversations and email reading. This method has been used in previous human-computer interaction and qualitative research, as well as it's very common in the disability communities right now. It is one of those methods that really allowed the silent voices to be uplifted in recent years. In this method, I, as a DHH person myself, reflected on my six short-term jobs, 5 internships, 5 co-ops, and 1 internship. As a result, we received responses from 19 DHH employees and 3 hearing supervisors from 6 countries around the world. And for the autoethnography, I personally answered 14 questions per question. Through thematic analysis of responses, we found 5 themes that have emerged from all of that data. We have found DHH status and the relationship with it, disclosure and the timing and pressure around it, accommodation, the requested versus the received and the quality of them, and autism and hearing privileges. For those who don't know, autism is a form of discrimination against deaf and hard of hearing people. In the discussion, we have found that there were 3 interventions that could be very useful: interpersonal, technical, and design. The interpersonal intervention is fairly common and not all that surprising, but they were heavily reinforced throughout the survey and autoethnography. The disability education is the main one, in that employers have expressed the desire for supervisors to educate themselves more on disability, whether through formal or informal training. An interesting thing that we hadn't taken into consideration until the survey was that the employers recognized that if we reduce financial burdens for certain accommodations, that could help bridge the gap between the accommodations requested and the accommodations received. Most of the accommodations are cheaper than $500 Canadian, but most employers are not aware of that. And sometimes the big word accommodation can really be intimidating. So having a bit of that contextual knowledge, as well as some rules such as tax benefits and tax claims can really help bridge that gap. The third one is also reinforced by a couple of the employees in that we should have better understanding of the supervisors in the sense that there's a lot of pressure on the supervisor to know a lot and to keep control of all the things in the workplaces. And by giving them a little bit of empathy and time, it might be just what we need. In terms of technical intervention, there are two really interesting technical interventions for DHH people who primarily rely on sign languages to get by, whether it's American Sign Language or British Sign Language. For the first intervention, we could have a stronger support and develop new technology for video and GIF support in communication software. So currently, DHH people, especially signers, use phone apps such as Viber, where they can take videos of themselves in small, short format and send them off to each other in replacement of text messages. With communication software that we use in the workplace, such as Teams and Slack, those are written language based, such as English and French. It would be really interesting to see if we can integrate both of those ideas into one so that we can see more DHH employees in the workplace and be able to use Slack and Teams just like anyone else, but instead of relying on written English, they can use ASL. The second intervention we can have is sign language-based surveys, whether that's for internal use inside the company or for external customer surveys. And this is where you can have video support for all the questions and fixed responses such as multiple choice or true and false. This will really help gather the information from those who rely on sign languages because they're their mother languages as opposed to written languages. Design intervention, the third intervention we mentioned in the paper, are a bit more creative. So as you can see on the screenshot on the left, we have a message under the toggle button for the microphone as a courtesy reminder for those entering the meeting to enter with the microphone off. We decided that it would be an interesting idea to have a similar alternative for the camera, but instead of having the camera off, we would remind the user to keep the camera on for those in the meeting that would rely on facial expression and lip readings to help them get by. On the right, we have a screenshot from a typical meeting being written up in the Microsoft Outlook. And you can see by the eye icon that there are a couple messages as reminders, such as you haven't sent this meeting invitation yet, or there's appointment conflict with another one in your calendar. Based on literature review, we've seen that DHH employees tend to rely on meeting agendas and notes to get by. And although we don't recommend that as the main accommodation, it can really help add a lot more content and hopefully better communication if the users are reminded to provide detailed meeting agendas when they write it and to provide meeting notes post meetings. For future research, we wanted to examine the question of how we can empower DHH employees and supervisors through tools and knowledge sharing in order to improve disability confidence for both groups. For DHH employees, one of the benefits of having the disability confidence is that they would have greater self-advocacy. And for the supervisor, they would have better confidence around DHH employees, future or present, and that can overflow to any other employees with disabilities. Thank you for joining us today in our paper for this 2021. My name is Dar'ya Heyko, and this has been written with Dr. David R. Flatla from the University of Guelph, Canada. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.